I call Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr Chair. And I'm pleased to take a call on this and the justice this evening, and particularly in response to the recent initiatives from this government in response to the crisis we have in this country around domestic and sexual violence. And it's nice to stand up and offer unequivocal support to the actions of this government. It's a very rare event for me to be able to do, and I do. I commend the Minister for making domestic violence her priority, and I acknowledge that she said in the media that she could have gone for easy wins and that this probably won't provide the easy wins, but it is addressing an absolute crisis in this country, and I commend her. It's not going to be simple. We're not going to get quick results, but it is worth doing. And she's rightly noted there are 100,000 family violence call-outs to the police every year. That's one call-out every 5 minutes, and that this work accounts for 41% of the police's work. And yet we know that only around 10 to 20% of the incidences of domestic violence actually are even reported to the police. And we know that the number of cases, while reporting is going up to police at the moment, the number of cases being resolved has dropped by 10% since 2008. And there's something going wrong if the reporting's going up and the number of cases being resolved by police is going down. So we need desperately to have a very comprehensive look at this problem, because, you know, this is 1 in 3 women in this country over their lifetime are likely to be victims of domestic violence. And we also have an epidemic rates of sexual violence where 1 in 3 or 4 girls are likely to be victims, 1 in 6 to 10 boys are likely to be victims of sexual violence in this country. And we have a conviction rate of around 1% for sexual violence and less than 2% for domestic violence. So this government is doing the right thing in making this a priority, and I would like to just offer them some advice and encouragement to the public to participate in the consultation. But I do think that the government is going to have to review your better public service targets to bring down the crime rate, because the target is to reduce the crime rate by 20% by 2017. And what I'm hearing from the community and on the ground is that that reduction in police resolution of family violence cases is a result of that better public service target to reduce crime. We need to have all of the incentives lined up, going the right way. And when we know only 10 to 20% of cases are coming to the police's attention, we need to be encouraging them to resolve things. And that, in the short term, is going to result in an increase in recorded crime. And that's just going to be part of the process, and we have to go through it if we're going to get on top of this problem as a country. I would also want to point out that the Prime Minister has noted that it's possible the government may need to spend a little bit more money in this area. Well, from speaking to so many organisations on the ground, and listening to the situation around legal aid, knowing the pressures on police, there is no doubt that we are going to have to spend more money. The majority of funding in this area is going to corrections, our prisons, and we have a 1 to 2% conviction rate. So we know that that money isn't actually doing anything to resolve the issues in the long term when it's only touching a tiny little part of the problem. And that prevention, the amount of money that's being spent in this area is 1.5% of the government spending is going on prevention. And a similarly small, not quite that small, but just inadequately small amount is going to towards counselling and support services and wraparound services for offenders and people who use violence as well as victims. And if we're wanting to be able to break these patterns and get people to change their behaviour and help women and children get to safety, we actually have to resource those efforts in a complete wraparound way. And the third point I just wanted to touch on was that I do hope that the Minister isn't dropping sexual violence off as her priority, though the discussion document is focused on domestic violence, because the Law Commission has a comprehensive body of work to look at.
I call Alfred Naro.